Welcome back, Broncos, to Crossing the Alameda, the podcast where we reconnect with the Santa Clara University class of 1991 and hear stories of who we were back then and who we have become since. Every episode is a chance to catch up with the classmate, share a few Santa Clara memories, and find out where life has taken us since graduating. I am Charles Michelet, and I'm here recording today from New Jersey, and I'm going to check in with our fellow hosts. We have Mike, and Mike, where are you coming from today?
Hello, everyone. Calling in from Madrid, Spain. Good to see you all.
Fantastic. And how are you?
Good, thanks.
I'm glad you're. We have AJ here, who is in the producer role, lurking there silently.
Very silent.
Gary Morin is not here with us today. She could not make it. We are missing her very much, but we know that she's going to love this show. Wish you were here. All right, Mike, would you like to introduce our guests for today?
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to introduce our guests today. We have a pair who have joined us, a pair of fellow Broncos from the class of 1991. And that's what I love about this podcast is sometimes, the universe just lines things up. Sometimes we have to pull teeth to try to get people into the show. But actually, these two kind of convinced each other to join the show. So I'm very excited for them to have us to be on the show today. And I'm very excited that they recruited each other and to hear what they have to say about where life is today for them and also the memories that they want to share with us today. So first we have Joe Plaia. He came to Santa Clara, lived in Swig, which many of us did, and he was a math major, and we're going to find out in a minute how that all adds up to the rest of his story, because Joe is currently doing improv comedy with monthly shows in Denver. He's been performing for about 10 years, including at the Miami Improv Festival. Bravo, well done. He's also building a photography business with his fiance. So congratulations. That's exciting news. Fiance, that's awesome. And he's a proud dad to 3 kids. So that's wonderful. We're going to hear more about that. And then Joe actually owned a retirement administration company at one time when he was 24, but later sold that. And we have questions for Joe. But first of all, Joe, welcome to Crossing the Alameda. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Good to see everybody.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Hey, AJ.
And we also have Jim Quilici. He came to Santa Clara as a legacy. And trust me, when we say legacy, this might be the biggest family we've had, even challenging the Bannons, I think, for a number of people who have gone to Santa Clara. He was also a math major, but he had an Italian minor, and he lived in McLaughlin, so he had to face the chaos of Swig. And then he ended up in the legendary Lafayette House as a junior and senior, and that house has come up a few times in the podcast, so we're excited to hear more and get a different perspective about living in that house. And he's currently living in Alameda, not crossing the Alameda, although he's crossed probably every street, if I understand correctly, in the Alameda. So he comes from Alameda, California these days. He has spent much of his time. He's a relationship manager at a large financial services company. But outside of work, he's worked in the Little League, the youth basketball scheduling. He's a total guru, scheduling all the basketball and tournaments. He helps with umpires and directing them for Little League. And I'm happy to say a devoted Dodgers fan, so go LA. Happy to see back-to-back titles. And he has a new passion, which involves baseball. He's doing live stream play-by-play. He's actively looking for gigs, so if you know of any gigs out there for him, please let us know. And as I said earlier, he's walked every single street in the city of Alameda, both sides. And we'll get into all of that. So, Jim, welcome to Crossing the Alameda. How are you
Thanks
today?
for having me. Pleasure to be here and see everybody. And AJ and JP. Been a while.
Yep.
Excellent.
Fantastic. So great to have both of you here. It's just going to be a really great show. Looking forward to it. So let's start it right at the beginning. What brought both of you to Santa Clara University, and how did you two connect?
Well, I grew up in Southern California, and didn't want to go to school close to home. And I had applied to several different schools. Santa Clara was my backup, and it was really the only one I got into. So it kind of just was meant to be that way. And I visited the campus, fell in love with it. And so it was an easy choice.
Awesome.
Nice.
How about you, Jim?
Goes way back. I was 9 years old. I knew that a lot of family had gone to Santa Clara before. There was a baseball camp offered there in the summertime, and I loved the game. I figured, yeah, what? We'll give it a shot. It was a sleepaway camp. So I came to campus in 1979. I lived in McLaughlin, third floor, for a week. Next year, I made my first communion in chapel and a private ceremony there because I was too old. I guess I'd waited too long with the kids at school. And then with uncles, aunts, both parents having gone, I was already really familiar with the campus. I applied to 3 places. I lived locally. I kind of knew that it was going to be my choice after having been there a few times. Plus, you can't resist the Mission Gardens. So, yeah, that was my first choice and rounded it all out by getting married in the chapel.
Awesome. And
Awesome.
you guys
Truly.
became friends at Santa Clara?
Yes. Yeah, sophomore year.
Sophomore year, you have a date
Well,
for it?
Do I have a date? Not exactly.
It just kind of
But I
fell
know
into
freshman
it.
year, normally I would see you when you were delivering pizzas from the brass rail.
That's right. Okay.
In
That
the
was the
Yeah,
swing.
pizza
no, not
guy.
till.
Yeah. I was the pizza guy downstairs at Brass Rail, which is, I don't think it's even there anymore. And that's how I met quite a few people, including the people in Swig, notorious fourth floor. I got a taste of Joe and friends. And I think tangent, by winter break during finals, we were getting an elastic launcher and turning the lights off in our third floor dorm and launching stuff at fourth floor Swig. I don't know if you remember that, Joe.
I vaguely remember that. I don't think we were ever. I don't think my window was ever hit. So.
We didn't hit anything that was too far. I remember Joe and I going to Netto's Sausage over by the by the old Alameda. That was our first trip going anywhere together. Mike,
Well,
you remember Netto's?
that's
I remember
one we
Netto's.
haven't heard yet. I'm so excited that you brought that one up because
Netto's?
that one hadn't been on the list yet. So well done on that one. Good call out.
Yeah, he'd linger by our place or thereabouts, right? And we were just sort of there one day, and you said, "Hey, let's go to Netto's. That'll be a nice light lunch or something, and we'll get a beer." And I don't know that that's exactly the way that it turned out.
I'm glad Netto's is still around. It's not at the same place, but it's still there in San Jose.
Is it? Okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Brilliant. Well,
The
that's
rest
Oh
is
yeah,
history.
It's good to
I
hear
had to
about.
look it up last time I was there.
Yeah, no, it's quite a friendship. And we were next to each other in the graduation line. Joe politely asked me to go first because he had something cooked up right behind me. So Q went before P. And then a few years later, we actually went on a trip to Spain and hung out for a
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Joe and I traveled all around.
Yeah, that was a fun trip.
It was.
Nice. Where'd you guys go in Spain?
Joe?
Well, we started in Madrid, then we ended up, it wasn't even a full day in Madrid. Then we went down to Malaga and we did day trips from Malaga, did a trip to Ronda, saw the
Nice.
Alhambra and then we did a day trip to Gibraltar, which is probably my favorite memory of that
Ooh,
whole
that's right.
trip there.
Don't
yeah,
forget
that was-
Very nice
Barcelona.
spot.
Oh, I cannot forget Barcelona. Of course not. Yeah.
Should we tell it? No, we're not going to tell it in full detail. Let's just say that getting home was made easier with Joe's antics trying to get down the Ramblas in Barcelona. No one
Yeah.
would come near us or try and pick us or anything like that, thanks to Joe's quick thinking. But I won't say exactly how he did it.
I don't know, it was quick thinking, it was drunk thinking, and it
Mhm.
something I wouldn't have done sober, and it worked. So
Well, anyway, you can protect yourself and your goods in Las Ramblas. Well done. Good job. So, I mean, so we talked a little about McLaughlin already versus fourth floor Swig. You talked about, I'm glad to hear McLaughlin threw stuff back at Swig because so far in the podcast, we've heard about a lot of things being thrown in the direction of McLaughlin. So I'm glad to hear that you guys threw it
brutal.
back. So that's good. So a little more about Swig. Walk us through living in Swig, Joe. You're on the notorious fourth floor.
not only was I on the notorious fourth floor, I was next door to John Doherty and Chris Height. So a lot of times their furniture ended up in my room, so that way we could get more people in their room for the parties. So Yeah, and they always left their door unlocked. You'd go in anytime, and more often than not, Caddyshack was on, and that was just it was just a place to hang out. But there's so many people from fourth floor Swig that still in touch with. Whether Steve Dice, I know he's been on. Dano's been on, just to name a couple. It was a great year. It was a really fun floor.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Hey, you both mentioned Dave Logathetti as your favorite professor. What was it about him that struck you both?
Joe, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. He had a great sense of humor, and I don't know if I would have graduated without his classes. Just the way he was, how he taught. He taught with the intent of making people become teachers. That was kind of his niche. And so it was just a different style that really liked. One of my favorite things he did is on any exam, flip over the exam and you could write jokes, and you'd get extra points for writing jokes and puns or what have you. He just was a great guy. He left us way too soon. He passed from colon cancer about 2 weeks after graduation.
Yeah, Logothetti was the type of guy where, knowing that he had not very long to live, he'd come in and write down on the board. He's like, You've heard what I've got, right? They're going to take out half my colon, so all I'm going to be left with is a semicolon." That's the deprecating kind of guy that he was, right? He would allow you to make puns and dumb jokes on the backside of the paper. We'd spend hours after the exam ended. He'd still be at the desk, and you'd actually get credit for it. I remember his son was in one of our classes. They made the commute all the way from Santa Cruz or Felton, I think, all the way up every single day. And Joe mentioned he wouldn't have graduated without him. He almost didn't graduate because Logothetti died, right? And I think he still had an incomplete and had to finish it off
Yeah.
with Hickling a little bit after graduation.
Yeah, they couldn't find the grade book. So I turned in some assignments and they just said, "Get out of here," and sent me on my way.
Oh, wow.
Other cool part about Logothetti is he would sub for English. He was that versatile, right? And he would sub for Jeff Zorn, who was another one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that's how much he knew. And not that Zorn would ever do a math class or a combinatorics class, but definitely Logothetti. He was that good of a writer and that good with a pen and the spoken word in class. He could handle an English class at the college level.
That is impressive. Yeah. So a shout out to Logatelli. That's good stuff. So to both of you, do you have like maybe a slightly embarrassing or lighthearted or a cringeworthy memory that really sticks out from your days at Santa Clara?
You want to go first on this one, Jim?
Why, are you still thinking, trying to pick one out?
Yeah, narrowing it down to one is going to be a challenge for me.
Go ahead.
I know one of the memories that's been talked about by others on this podcast that I would definitely want to chime in on was the night of the earthquake. I was in fraternity. I was in SAE, and we had a rush event that night. We're in an old Victorian house next to an old Victorian house. And as the quake hit, the houses were coming in and out and in and out like that. And we had a lot of people in the driveway suddenly rushing out to the street. There was a kid on crutches that I swear I thought he was going to get trampled. It was that kind of just crazy nuts of how we all know how big that earthquake was. And I remember the aftershocks still hitting that house, again, old Victorian, and I'm up on the top floor, and those aftershocks, and I'm in a loft, and it was like riding waves. I remember that. And I also remember all of us going to Jim's house along Lafayette for what turned out to be a rather fun party, and the only phone working. So I was finally able to get a hold of my parents about 4 hours later, waiting my turn in line, since they had the only phone that was, I think, functioning around.
It has to be finals during winter quarter, that first quarter freshman year, coming back to the feud between fourth floor and third floor McLaughlin. We used my room. We had the launcher. We had muffins. We had sticks of butter. And I forget who it was mentioned, I have access to the science lab. I can get us some pig fetuses. Now, I don't know how they were going to come out of the jar and get in a launcher. Thankfully, that never happened. We're on our way. We're down to our last ones. We've got raw eggs as well. And security, campus security, I guess, was down in the courtyard down there in Kennedy Plaza, I think it was called. And we thought we were in the clear till this guy apparently looked up, saw which window it was, came bang, bang, bang on the door, right? froze. I thought, oh, my mom and dad are going to kill me if they ever find out about this. So they came in, they shut it down. There was 6 of us in the room. Our resident assistant, who shall remain nameless, just said, just deny that the whole thing happened. Well, you can't because we were caught red-handed. So his plan B was, all right, fine. They're going to charge you $250 or whatever and slap you on the wrist. Just have one of you guys say that you did it, and the other 5 can pitch in and help pay for the $250. So you're not all paying individually $250, which was a great idea. And we did it, and it worked. So it only cost us, I don't know what, 40 some dollars a piece, something like $41. Mom and dad never found out about it, and I don't plan on telling them anytime soon either.
Well, hopefully they won't watch this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. There you go.
We won't
That
send them
class
the
of
link to the
66,
podcast.
they won't catch on.
Yeah. Statute of limitations. Sorry.
Statute.
Gonna be okay.
But it does show that we're very smart people at Santa Clara.
It's true.
Innovative.
So this is a question that we are compiling a playlist. So we like to ask everyone whether is there a song that brings you right back to your Santa Clara days.
For me, Violent Femmes' Blister in the Sun.
Oh yeah.
Remember hearing that a lot, especially at the Lafayette House. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the song. There are some others, but that's the definite one.
That's a great one. Fantastic.
Yeah, the one I listed is probably not on the top 40. That's Amore by Dean Martin.
Oh, yes.
It would be Dano or Dice or somebody like that at the house on Lafayette would just start breaking out into song. And this is, after we're doing Cheers for Beers or Beer on Jeopardy or something like that. Just out of the blue, this would turn on. I think Dano would start it, and then it would just kind of reach its apex, in a full-throated song. That's the one I remember distinctly. And, Violent Femmes, that came on. That any kind of Lenny Kravitz would come on at some of our house parties. And Joe, don't forget that stupid B-52s opening that Eddie used to play all the time, and just constant.
That's right.
One of our housemates would play the first 20 seconds of a B-52's Rome, and then he'd go back and hit it again, and hit it again, and hit it again, and hit it again, until finally I think someone got rid of the CD.
That is funny. So, Joe, I will pose the question to Jim, though, because I also know your house was one of the few houses that had a working phone for the earthquake. So take us back a little about how that was for you to be the one saving grace for everyone to call their parents and tell them they're safe.
Yeah, the earthquake's a good story. That's one where, even today, people comes up in conversation. What were you doing that day? Well, this is really easy, right? I was a baseball fan in the house. I don't remember anybody else being there. So at 5:04, I was sitting down to eat my dinner, turning on the A's-Giants game. Big A's fan, right? That goes blurry. House starts to shake. This is almost a 100-year-old house. I thought, this could be the end right here, right? There's no guarantee this is going to stay up. Went to the doorway and just quietly watched as things were shaking in the kitchen. Cans started coming out of the drawers and the cupboards and landing on the floor. And it's like, God, give me just a couple more seconds. Let's get through it. It's Californians. We've been through this before. It's going to end soon. What seemed like hours was probably only 20 seconds. It stopped. House is fine. The phone is working. None of the lights or the electricity is on. I'm the only one there. Eventually, I think Doherty and Dice, which they mentioned they were coming from work over on campus, they finally show up, and the steady trickle of kids from McLaughlin and Walsh and Swig and the upper floors where things were really swaying a lot and they were really freaked out, started coming down, just looking to see what's going on. Eventually, they learned that the phone is working, so everyone starts calling their families, right, over out of state and so forth. And you remember when phone bills were a thing? That was quite a phone bill for that, right? This is around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I distinctly remember looking out on Lafayette and seeing my ex-girlfriend and her roommate are walking. This is their 21st birthday, by the way, that day, October 17th. They're walking from left to right down to the El Camino for dinner before 5 o'clock. Well, after all the shaking and stuff, sure enough, within an hour, I see the same two of them walking back in the other direction, coming down Lafayette, kind of waved at them like, too bad. I think John got the idea then, well, we got to rescue whatever kegs might still be in a good refrigerator anywhere in town before the power really gets totally out. So we come back. We've now got a keg in the house, and we've got cups. It's starting to get dark. There's candles. We tried to keep the candles off the pool table because that was the one sacred monument in the house that couldn't get destroyed. I don't know, by 11 o'clock, the professor and the two professors around the block have come over. They're drinking in the backyard with us, talking about the whole thing. Around 11:45, the power came back on, the lights came back on, and the house that stood and didn't look like an earthquake hit it looked like an earthquake had hit it at 11:45 because there was candles and wax and cups all over the carpet and all around. People were getting up, had the best time. Everyone went home happy and got up the next day.
Man, how was that phone bill though?
Large, long,
Or
hard to separate.
I
But what
imagine
the
it was
hell? I
difficult to
mean,
itemize.
that's the memory of the earthquake. Best I can. I'll never forget it.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. All right, well, let's fast forward a bit here. We'll start with you, Joe. Walk us through your journey since graduation, where you are today, your career path, and some key moments. What it catch us up.
Well, first and foremost, I need to give credit to Jim's mom, Jan, because I interviewed with her um, around the end of senior year because I didn't know what to do with a math major. And she had talked about retirement plan administration. Um, and so I looked for jobs after graduation, wanted to stay in San Jose or Santa Clara. And I ultimately found a job in downtown San Jose doing administration, doing trust accounting for about 3 months until they realized that we weren't a fit for each other and they sent me on my way. And I got home that day, pulled out the phone book, called every company I could, found two that interviewed me, and ended up with a company that ultimately I ended up buying from the owner 2 years later because he had a midlife crisis of sorts and he wanted to leave the business and make an album, wanted to sing. And so he kind of gave me the business for a song, no pun intended. I 24 years old, having no idea what I was doing, running a retirement plan business with 5 employees, and ultimately was acquired when I was 26. Did that for years, and then in 2000, at this point, I'm married with kids, own a home, did everything you're supposed to do, kind of thing. And work was pulling me in one direction, home was pulling me another. And if you pull something back and forth enough, like a rubber band, it snaps. And so I had a mental health snap in October of 2004, and changed. I haven't done any retirement plan work since. Been on long-term disability and just kind of ridden the wave of life. Started doing improv about 10 years ago. It's something I'd always wanted to do as a kid, and it wasn't until I was 47 that I stepped on stage for the first time, and I felt this peace like I was at home. And now I've been doing that as often as I can for the past 10 years. And in fact, I've got an audition tomorrow night for a musical improv troupe that Jim knows this, how I like making improvised songs. He's heard many of them in some of my altered states. And I'm looking forward to see, I hope I get picked for this troupe. And anyway, so yeah, no, doing comedy has been a pure joy for me for these past 10 years.
That's great. How did you get into it? Was it the decision you made, or was there somebody that dragged you into it? How'd you make the leap?
There was just in town, and we get those magazines that, oh, we've got these events happening at the local arts center, and someone was talking about doing comedy, and the person I was dating at the time was saying, you should do this. You've always wanted to do it. And I was humming and hawing, and she gave me enough of a push that I went ahead and started. And I had my first show 3 weeks after my first class, so I really was kind of thrown into it. And like I said, when I walked on stage, I felt this calm come over me, this peace, and I knew that I was where I belong. And now I try to perform whenever I can.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's been really cool.
That is very nice.
So, Jim,
good luck with your audition. I hope it goes well. I hope you get picked for that musical improv troupe.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you.
Keep us updated.
Will do.
So, Jim, can you hear your story? Can you catch us up since graduation? What's your journey been? What are the twists and turns?
Not as twisty as that one. By the way, before we break from that, Joe, come on, music, you got to give us a couple of bars of Dano is traveling tonight on a train.
On a plane, not a
Plane,
train.
gonna see
Because he's heading
me
south.
again.
Gonna see Mimi again, yeah. I can see Dano mooching a ride. God, it looks like Dano must not be looking too high. Yes.
See,
Yes.
not that
Dano
I've
will
heard
be
any of
thrilled
them
when he
before.
watches this.
Dan's gonna love that.
Nice.
You can cut it or not. No, that's the thing though, is I've heard enough of Joe's tunes and his made up stories and his puns and stuff. We still exchange them by text. They stick in your head even after 30 some years, and you can still come back and recite them. He's left me voicemails that are still on my phone, right, from whatever's going on at any given time. So Joe's a pro at that. Improv, I'm surprised it took him that long for him to find it or for it to find him, because he is absolutely 100% built for it. And I'm glad that he's doing it. Yeah, nothing quite as exciting on this side. Stupid human trick. Yeah, I mentioned to you about walking around Alameda. One other thing I've managed to do, which is about as unspectacular as it gets in work life, is I've managed to never have a job that requires me to be there past 5 or on a weekend. And that goes for the last 30 years. So I guess I call that an accomplishment because it's allowed me to do what I think is most important, which is I made all my sons and all my daughters' games, be they soccer, little league, travel ball, anything like that, and get involved heavily in the community work, the coaching, the umpiring. I've been an equipment manager for Little League. I'm still doing schedules for the local basketball league 15 years later, mentoring kids to be junior umpires, trying to recruit adults that aren't really sure about doing it anymore. So I'd say a lot of that is what I'm most proud of is the volunteer work. Professionally, yeah, whatever. It's in the benefits industry, kind of like what Joe was doing until he ramped off from that. So I still remain in that space 30 years later, but the real fulfilling stuff is the volunteer work, especially mentoring kids, getting my daughter to coach a third grade basketball team with me just this past winter so she can get a feel of what it's like to be around little kids and do that and satisfaction that comes with it. So I don't know. That's what fulfills me. And that's all a big change from someone who's a confessed introvert coming to Santa Clara, right, at age 17. Close group of friends, talk to them. If there's an assignment, do that. And here we are 30 some later, chatting away. So I don't know where it changed or what clicked, but it did. So nothing beyond that, just travel, sticking around here, being a good community member in Alameda.
Excellent. So what's one thing you thought you knew about life? So we'll start with Jim, and then we'll go to Joe. But what's one thing you thought you knew about life when you graduated from Santa Clara that you now realize was way off? Or maybe there's nothing. Maybe just something slight.
Well, in recent times, I think we've learned that there's a lot of people that maybe you shouldn't have trusted to begin with that you did, especially higher up at the very top of the food chain. That's been a real slap in the face. Times I hate to come off as negative about that, but that's been a real eye opener. Coming right out of school, I guess there was the expectation that we're all going to go to work. Things are going to be easy, and you're going to have that house within a few years, something like that. When we came out in '91, I remember it was right in the middle of a pretty bad recession too. Jobs weren't that hard to come by, or weren't that easy to find. So that took a little bit of doing. But once you settle in and start adulting, things just kind of find their way. And in retrospect, we probably were in a better shape coming out, than kids are now. If you're talking about getting a place or saving up money or having that family, I mean, look at our kids. They're 24, 25 years old, and they're all coming back in, to live with us and save money. You talk to anybody, that seems to be more the norm than the exception going forward. So that has changed my perspective a lot. It's just simply not as easy to do things as we may have thought it once was.
Yes.
Joe.
And Joe, what about you?
So after graduation, and I was still working for a while at Costco with Jim. Actually, thank you for getting me the job, by the way, Jim. Way back when.
I did that.
Yeah, well, you got me in the interview at least.
So my mom got you a spot with benefits, and I got you a spot at Costco.
Yeah, you're pretty much my employer.
Okay, good.
Your whole family's my link.
I don't remember
recruiter.
any of that.
But so I'm there and it's okay. I'm graduated. I've got to find a quote real job. And as Jim was saying, it wasn't necessarily easy. And so I think that, and especially after I was let go 3 months from my first job, the realization that just because you have a degree doesn't mean suddenly people are going to want you. Um, I think that kind of hit me in the face a bit, uh, especially having a math degree. I thought I had options. I thought I had different things I could do. And so when the first time I was laid off, I was just like, well, okay, I guess it's not just you have a degree, people want you, and it's that easy. No, you've got to actually go out and get it, which is why I was proud of myself that day I got laid off, that I got home and just pulled out the phone book and started just calling all the companies I could that were in there and just getting interviews. So it was a good lesson and one that I'm glad I learned early.
Excellent.
I don't know when the last time you guys are back on campus, but we like to ask if you're back on campus for a day, what would you do?
Is it
So,
sunny out?
It's always sunny.
Okay. And we're 20 years old again, or are we
no,
now
no,
this
no,
age?
it's modern
It's the
day.
now,
You're going back
modern day.
and
All right.
you're
Well,
reliving, you're
that
stirring the
cancels out.
memories.
That cancels out just wandering through the Mission Gardens on a sunny day. God, what would we do? I'd probably get everybody together if there was a way I could get magically snap my fingers and get everybody back from fourth floor or 1141 Lafayette, one of the two. And we would just spend the whole day doing what we do. Oh, I know what we do. We go down to Saratoga Avenue and get a slosh ball game together. That would be fun.
Yes.
Gosh, Paul.
We would do that
Yes.
and see how darn long it would take. That's why I'm asking if it's a dry, sunny day. I know you've heard that story before, but that was the epic Saturdays. Yeah, that was a good way to fill it. Probably skip over going to get married again. I think once was probably enough in the chapel. I don't know, Joe. What else could we do? Go to the Nettos? Oh, I would, if we could, I would reconstruct Lord John's and put it back on the corner where it belongs,
Yes.
so we could go in there and sit on the red couch and listen to Dose Guys again and get cheap drinks on
Nice.
certain nights and try and get past Larry Barron, the guy at the door, looking at fake IDs. That would also be fun.
I
Joe,
saw that mention of those guys on your form, Jim, and like, oh, man, I was like, I love those.
every Tuesday, yeah, we would be there. Every Tuesday night, we would be there with my ex.
They were
Lord
great.
John's and dollar drink nights were my kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lord John's was great. And I would be with you, Jim. I would love to rebuild that and go back there. I wasn't much of a hot guy, but Lord John's I would go to a lot. And yeah, I miss the fact that it's no longer there. But what else would I do if I were on campus now? I would just walk around the whole campus, just see what's new, see what's different. Love the fact, I mean, we call this Crossing the Alameda, to see the lawn and everything that what was once the Alameda, and just getting that feel to me, it is the same campus I was at in 1991, and it's not at the same time. And so I like to see what's new, what's different. Even what's changed inside Benson, for example, and how it's not the same all you can eat soft serve like we had back in the 80s and 90s. um, so yeah, I don't know. I think I would just enjoy it. I just soak it in. I'm looking forward to October, and I know that's what I'll do when I get there in October for our reunion.
I think that was one
Yeah.
of our floor shirts. It had something to do with soft serve.
Yeah, sixth floor. We were sixth floor suite. We had the shirt on the back that said,
That's right.
why do people like sixth floor? Because we have soft serve.
Because we have soft serve. Oh, that's okay.
Yes.
Wasn't our floor. It was sixth. You said
But
it.
yeah,
Not
I couldn't
to
we
remember if it
were
was 6 or
offend
8.
we were
anybody.
that quiet floor that was kind of left behind between 8th and 4th, because you guys were famous and we were kind of just the sixth floor.
Why do we get all the chicks? Because we have. Yeah, that was worn a few times. Yeah, shirt and pullover. You could have whatever style you want. Right. No, I'm on campus every once in a while. We go down there for basketball games. I go down there with John Servino, Ferris Shamina, and Alex if he's ever in town. We try and catch the Broncos. We were at USF the other night. We're probably going to go to St. Mary's this week. But yeah, you go there. The hut's beautiful. It's not the same hut with all the dollars on the
No.
ceiling, but it's clean and nice and bright and quiet. You can actually go in there and enjoy food and not be bothered. But yeah, not having Lord John's across the street, just it's a pisser because you look over there and just know that it should be there and should be something to counteract the hut, right?
Yeah.
You need that balance, right? Yeah, it's just it seems odd that Lord John's is not there. It doesn't seem right.
Lord John's with bar and music, or the hut with poor Rich, the gimpy guy behind the bar, right? Just trying to give you your Budweiser as fast as you can. Just total contrast.
Absolutely. So both of you are kind of Jim, you mentioned you're coaching with your daughter. You're both kind of in transition. Uh, Joe, wow, I mean, you have a fiance. That's exciting news. So tell us a little about about the transition. What's going on? How these things are going for both of you? What does it feel like?
Well, for me, I've been in Colorado now for about 12 years, and I have no interest of going back to California. I love it here, the people, the weather. I love having four seasons, things like that. I met my fiance in 2019, and so we live together now. It would be a second marriage for both of us, so we're not in a rush. We just enjoy each other's company. I've got 4 dogs and 5 cats, and live outside of Denver on 2 acres.
What?
And it really, life's good. I mean, simply put, life's good.
And then you got your monthly
Yeah.
improv show in Denver and whatnot.
Yep.
That's sounds very nice. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's
How
been
many?
good.
You had 5 cats?
5 cats. Yeah,
Whew.
they're come and go as they please, and yeah, 5 cats and then 4 dogs. The cats, if you live in the country, cats just kind of happen. A couple of them have just shown up, and I mean, one was a feral cat that had never been around people. And after a couple months, it was cold, it was winter, wanted to come inside, and it took forever to get that cat to go back outside again. But yeah, so yeah, cats happen, and just love them. They're all good pets.
Wonderful. Jim, what about you?
Yeah, we're about to undergo some major separation. The 18-year-old is looking at going to college somewhere. She's a senior in high school. The 24-year-old has finished 6 years of college baseball, is working an internship in engineering, and is looking to go to grad school somewhere in the fall. If they end up at the same place, dynamite, right? We can make one shot and go see them, maybe get a twofer, but who knows what's going to happen with them. So it's going to get awfully quiet around here, which is the whole purpose for looking for live streaming, any kind of umpire gigs, anything else that's going on around town, because work's just not going to fill all that. It won't be golf. I can guarantee you that. Won't be just spending hours out there doing that. We have 2 cats, Joe, not 9 pets. We have 2, but the 2 of them are enough to pin me down all night and tell my lower back to not function properly anymore, which I'm feeling right now. Like little heat magnets that just alter your spine's correctiveness. Oh man. But we get it up. No, good cat lover house here as well. Other than that, I don't know. Just looking to the future, hoping things, calm down a little bit. We can live in a little bit more sanity from day to day. I don't know how everybody feels about all that, but it's always kind of out there in the back of your head. It's like, when does the madness kind of settle down? When can we come back together one more time?
Yep.
And that alludes to what I said earlier. It almost feels like we're in a world where we've been pitted against one another, for the benefit of a few. And I'd love for that to stop. I'd love to have the environment like we're back on campus, right? Where everyone's being good to one another and getting along, working together, collaborating. And there are no petty dramas or jealousies or anything like that. That's what makes that time magical, right? And it sticks in our head. And it's not really the things that we did, it's the people we remember and the relationships that we had. So that's the end of the tangent right there. We can go to a different one. Sorry.
Well
But well
said. Well
stated,
said.
well stated about Santa Clara, yeah, and that's a very common theme that we've had in the podcast is that
Is it? Okay.
the
Yeah.
people and just really that camaraderie and the ability to have friends and be with people and have some very nice shared memories of our experience at Santa Clara. So well stated.
I tell my daughter, she's going through drama with the friends here in high school, and they're still, when you think about it, it's 18-year-old and down. And I keep reminding her, yeah, that stuff went on in our day too, but I remember getting to Santa Clara, and it's like, you can reinvent if you really want to. You can wipe the slate clean of all the high school dum-dums and just start anew right there. I don't really keep in touch with anyone from high school anymore. It's all crews from Santa Clara. They're going to be kind of your last stop, right? Other than when you're meeting other parents or people through youth sports or something like that. These are the people, for better or worse, you're going to be stuck with for the rest of your life and all your stories that you make at school. So that's what she's looking forward to. And it comes back to not just Santa Clara, which is a great example of it, but most anywhere you would hit on a good tight knit 4-year campus or something like that. So it's kind of the prize that's out there for being a good high school student.
Right.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I went to Santa Clara because nobody from my high school was going, and I wanted to reinvent myself. So, no,
And you did.
And I did. Yeah. For the better or worse is to be determined. But yeah, I definitely did reinvent myself. And had a great experience at Santa Clara. I would go back and do it all over again.
I think at Joe's, at your fraternity house, there's a picture of all of you from high school, right? I remember seeing that. Was like, whoa, that's you? And there's a picture of Joey's in his suit and tie and hair is clean cut, shaved and all that, maybe a pair of glasses on or something like that. That is not the Joe that I knew from the beginning of freshman year through first quarter, right? And all the fourth floor stuff. I know it went really well for you academically the first quarter on campus, Joe, as compared to high school.
Yeah, I graduated by the skin of my teeth. Let's not kid here. Had to take some summer school to get enough credits. Had I not taken map reading, which was offered by ROTC,
Map reading.
I wouldn't have had enough units, and I would have had to take more. Yeah, I was not a scholastic powerhouse, but damn, did I have fun!
I'll give you that.
I would go back and do it again. Yeah,
I give you that.
Well, speaking of fun, Mike, should we jump to the fun and fast five?
Yeah, let's do it. So now we're going to do the lightning round. So we do the fun and fast 5 questions. And so whatever comes to mind, know what we're thinking, just answer the question. And we'll go Joe, Jim, and then we'll alternate Jim, Joe, however you guys want to do it. Or if you want to blurt out together, of course, that's all right too. But first question, first concert, Joe.
I think it was John Cougar Mellencamp at the Fabulous Forum in LA. Yeah, I ended up getting to a lot of concerts, but I think that was the first.
It's a good one. Jim.
1987, Day on the Green. What do they call it? The Joshua Tree or whatever that was, the album that they had.
Yeah.
One that really hit. Yeah. It was one of the later Day on the Greens where they just packed the Coliseum. That's what I remember.
Oh, nice. All right, question 2. What food are you always in the mood for, no matter what? Let's switch it up. Let's start with Jim.
You could put pizza in front of me and I'd never get sick of it.
Good answer.
I'm pretty much the same, both pizza and Mexican food. It's a toss-up. Either one, I'm there.
All right.
Excellent.
Let's take out.
Okay. Excellent. Okay,
question 3 and 2.
Joe, what are you currently binge watching or reading right now? Or you can answer both, reading and binge watching.
Reading. I've been picking up reading. There's an author, Terry Pratchett. I don't know if you're familiar with him, fantasy writer. I picked up and started reading his books again, so that's been enjoyable. Binge watching. I'm kind of taking a break. I was binge watching the Olympics, and I've seen more curling in 2 weeks than I think I've seen in my entire life, and I could use a break from the TV altogether after that. So not much on that front, but yeah, reading is definitely getting back in.
Jim, what about you?
I watched all 9 years of Stranger Things in 2 weeks while it was cold and rainy over the break.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm taking a break. Yeah. And then when COVID started, I hit all the 70s dramas, just the cop dramas, just to see what they all look like and the towns where they filmed in LA and so forth, just for that and ignore the story. So I've been through all the Adam 12s and the Rookies and the SWATs and all that stuff. As far as reading, just finished the new Jim Crow, which was a real eye-opener. I mean, some of the stuff's out there. This one goes into all the facts and all the stories that have been swept under the rug. It's highly recommended for anyone on either side. Read it, open your mind, open your eyes. You will treat and be treated differently, I think, after it. You'll be better for it. The new Jim Crow.
Excellent.
All right. Question number 4. Seems a little crazy. So
I think we know this one.
What's
you
that?
might know this one. But question 4: cats or dogs?
Well, so we know Jim has 2
you
cats,
both.
and Joe has both. He has 5 cats and 4 dogs.
Yep.
I don't. Not sure. Is this preference or is this just?
Joe?
No,
You know,
it's-
they both have their place. I wasn't so much of a cat guy when I was younger. I've always been a dog guy. And then now that I have cats, I can't imagine not having them. So I say they both have their place.
all right.
On the bed, right?
Dogs are
Yes.
Dogs are fun to play with, but they're kind of like grandkids. You know, you do all the playing and you don't have to take care of them. You just send them home with somebody else and they can walk them and clean them and so forth. The cats, of course, will go by themselves. They'll clean themselves. They'll stay at home by themselves. So just purely for ease. We've always had cats. I had one as a kid, and then we've probably been through, 3 or 4 now, I think, just in married days. We bumped up to 2, even though 2 of the 4 household members are, in fact, allergic to cat dander. But
Oh, no.
having cats will actually get rid of that. You will not feel it as much if you've actually housed a cat long enough. So, yeah, we got 2. They're brothers. They're rescues. So cats.
All right. Let the record show.
Yeah, so we'll start with Jim on this one. So if you weren't doing what you do now and you could have a completely different career, maybe I understand with your volunteering what it might be, of course, but what's a different career you might take on board? No training required, no education required. If you could do, what's a career you would do?
If my voice could hold up every day and I had no connections, I would go on the road and I would try and do play-by-play for some team, some pro team, right? Just to be around the environment. But again, that's no connections because that does take you away from real life, quote unquote, too long at a time. That would be it. Something affiliated with baseball.
Excellent. Joe,
Joseph?
what about you?
Well, I found it a lot already in doing improv and doing comedy. If I could do it all over again, I would have been on stage many years before it took me now. So I don't know if there's anything I would want to do instead. I really enjoy the energy I get and give when I'm on stage. I'm in smaller venues, but it doesn't matter. It's fulfilling. I couldn't think of anything else, honestly. As Jim said, it took me too long to find where I belong, and so now I don't. No, I couldn't imagine anything else.
Excellent. Well,
Cool.
kudos to you. I know it's hard work. I have friends who are in the small production. They do improv over here in Europe, and I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and you definitely put yourself out there. So that's awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
So I will take.
You want to take the next?
We
Yep.
ask everyone this question. I'll take the next one. We ask everyone this question: if you could go back and give your graduating self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Joe, you ready? I got one.
I got one too. So you go, Jim.
All right. Yeah, I've thought about this one before. And this comes back to the introvertedness, right? Were I talking to myself from that long ago, I would just simply say, start talking, right? Get up, get your hands down at your sides, chest out, be confident in what you're saying. I took a class in business school at USF, never mind all the other stuff they gave us for business. The most valuable class I took there was one called Communications. It was taught by a woman at Charles Schwab who was a presenter. And she went through all the nitty gritty of all your mannerisms and having you judged in front of people and giving speeches and stuff like that. Something clicked and everything was different after that. So that's what I would tell myself at that time. Get out in front of it because the longer you wait to start talking, the longer it's going to be and the less you're going to be recognized and the less things you're going to accomplish, the less people you can affect, the less kids you can mentor, right? The less games you can umpire, so on and so forth. That's my advice.
Excellent. Excellent.
And the advice I would give myself is the same advice I give my kids now, which is don't wait to catch your dreams. Yeah, I was 18 when I wanted to do comedy. Instead, I went to college and got a job, got a house, got married, had kids, did everything I was supposed to do. And it was 30 years later before I was actually on stage. And I don't want that for my kids. I wouldn't want that for old me. So No, chase your dreams and go catch them. Don't wait. And that would be what I'd tell myself.
Great. Excellent.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, any message you want to send out to your fellow classmates as we head towards the reunion? Any call outs, any shout outs?
Just looking forward to the reunion, looking forward to see everyone, catching up. It's kind of like this now. We catch up telling stories, talk about, memories of things. I'm typically put into singing again, and that's okay. The last reunion 5 years ago, they had a karaoke, and the karaoke machine kind of died. So I was doing Green Day's Welcome to Paradise. And when the prompter died, I started singing Santa Clara Paradise just to the crowd, just winging it on my ear. So I expect something crazy like that will happen again, and I'll be ready for it. It'll be fun.
Excellent. So, Jim, will we see you at the reunion?
My niece, for whatever reason, scheduled her wedding that exact same weekend, farther in advance than the reunion was planned. So I am committed to going to that instead. I think I've made every one that we've had since we first started having them. But my message would be this, and my mom and dad kind of laid this on me, right? As they went, they're 60 years out now, 60 years from graduating at Santa Clara. My mom kind of laid it out and said, and early on, everyone's comparing and they're jostling for position and they're showing everybody their rings and their jewelry and talking about their jobs. And then after a while, everyone's talking about their newborns and their kids. Then they're talking about how far they've gone in their careers, right? And then she said it finally got to a point where everyone kind of stopped looking forward or backwards, and they kind of look sideways at one another, realizing everyone's getting gray, everyone's getting older. Some folks aren't doing so well. Others can't take all the money that they made with them. And those that ended up kind of living an ascetic life or whatever actually did pretty well for themselves. And she realized there wasn't so much judging going on the later that they got in the reunions as the years went by. So I would say we're not getting any younger. We're not getting super old, super fast, but we're getting there, right? We're starting to get up into our parents' ages. And maybe it's time, if we're considering throwing out there all the accomplishments that we've made, maybe it's time to just kind of dial it back, chill a little bit, and just look sideways and realize we all got to this point. We're all still alive. We've got X number of time left together. How about just enjoy it, swap stories, and not compare and try and be quite so judgmental. And I thought the last reunion, it was good. I mean, it was quiet. There was a lot of people coming together from different groups, different crews were mixing and stuff. It was just a really good time. So I would make that the hallmark for this year, and I'm really sad to miss it. Just be kind to one another.
Well, we'll give a shout out for you. We'll miss you there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll give you a shout out.
And Joe, remember Joe, we had to get you to come to the last one, right? I remember you were kind of on the fence about going, and you came, and I hope you had a good time.
Oh, I did. Well, I was on the fence at first, but then my daughter was still she graduated from Santa Clara in 23. So she was there at the last one, and seeing her there as well as seeing everybody was just a wonderful moment and experience. And now that's why going again this October isn't much of a choice.
Good.
That's great. Joe, Jim, it has been so fantastic having you on the show, listening to your stories. You guys are great guests. Thank you so much for sharing all your
Thank you.
Your journey
Thank
and stories.
Yeah. Thank you for having us, and go Broncos. And I look forward to Gonzaga being out of the league next year, and we can actually maybe win and go to the tournament. And so, go Broncos.
We have to get by the Gales Wednesday or get something done in the tournament. Yeah. We have to do something. It's been 30 years since we were in the NCAAs, since the Nash years. So let's get that done. Have something to talk about at the reunion. Basketball related. Yeah. Nash, 96. Yep.
That would be fun.
Let's do it.
So before we close out, I also too want to thank Jim and Joe. It's been a true delight to have you guys on the show and sharing your memories and your current states of where you are today. Very exciting to hear about that and whatnot. So we do appreciate that. If you've been enjoying the show, you can find every episode of Crossing the Alameda on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Just search for Crossing the Alameda and you'll find us. Member of the class of 1991 and you want to come on to the show, send us an email. You can reach out to crossingalameda@gmail.com. Also, if you just want us to give a shout out, maybe you don't want to come on the show, but you want to shout out to a friend, email us at crossingalameda@gmail.com and we'll give a shout out for you. But we know there's a lot of great stories out there. We'd prefer you come on the show with us. Do see us or check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
For sure.
Ciao.
We're always looking for great stories. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Crossing Alameda.
Yeah.